before, and I mean, it was just eye-opening. He really knows how to talk to people with growth, personal growth, and just in general in training with training. Sharon might go into this a little bit more in depth, but one of my biggest takeaways was the fact that we have multiple stories. So we created, one of the things that he made us do was to write down one story that was in terms of like weight loss. For example, some people have started with isogenics for weight loss. Other people started for energy. Some people started. So really making sure that you're, like a postpartum story that I can tell moms that are pregnant, and so making sure that I'm like focusing on that and writing like a 30-second story on that. And then I also have like an energy story, and making sure that I'm talking, knowing your audience and making sure you're targeting that audience with one of your particular stories, but always keeping it separate. So not putting, I was overweight, I gained energy, not like putting it all together. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm going off the books here, but.
You want me to cut in?
Huh?
You want me to cut in?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Just because I know what you're saying. So it's basically saying you can have multiple stories, but keep each story on one theme. Just like Ariana said, she'd have a postpartum story. So everything she says in there, like before isogenics, and then your 3 pain points are all going to relate to the postpartum. And then it says, since isogenics, and then you do your 3 kind of relief points, and those should relate to the 3 pain points. So now, let's say she said she was depressed or she was feeling, however, she relates it to that. And then if she has the energy, it should all be, the theme should stay the same for each story. One story, one energy, one postpartum, one whatever, instead of mixing them all. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, anybody?
Do you guys have questions on that part?
That makes sense, Sharon. Cool.
And they gave us a template for that as well, that we can either, I don't know if it's online somewhere. If not, I can probably just take a picture of it and put it on our team page.
I have a question, Sharon. I keep calling you Sharon. Shannon, I'm sorry, Sharon. I have a question for you. Can you hear me? It's Angie.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
I have a question for you. What would you say was your personal biggest takeaway from this weekend?
Oh boy. Bottom line for me personally, because of what I know that I need, and just something that they emphasized really, really strongly, is we all need to be having more conversations. And one of the big things that kind of helps us put it into perspective is, rather than say, I've been doing this for 2 years, rather than looking at it like that, and maybe somebody's been doing it for 2 months, rather than speak of time in months or years and things like that, speak of it in conversations, and that puts it in perspective. Because somebody could be doing it for 5 years and only be having 1 conversation a month. Somebody could be doing it for 3 months and having 10 conversations a day. So it's about conversations. And as far as that goes, it kind of goes into, when you do tell your story, I mean, what you're doing, you're starting off with those conversations, you're finding common ground. You always have to look for common ground. So we did so many different exercises where we're always working with someone new, and every single time we had to find common ground. And we had to find it. So you have to find common ground, because if you're not relating in some way, then it might not go much further than that. But that was huge. It's just more conversations for me. And there were so many takeaways and so many things that I feel are like bigger and stronger that hit me in a different way. But just as far as my business goes, that's in my head. I need more conversations.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Sharon. I
Sure.
like that. Awesome. Ariana, can I ask you the same question? Because I know you're going to pick up the kids. What is your biggest takeaway?
Sorry, I'm unmuting myself. I'm in the middle of driving. My biggest takeaway, God, I would probably just have to say one of the things that I really resonated with was the fact that like there's always going to be hard times, and we all know that there's going to be so many hardships going through, like whether it's your personal life or whether it's, you know, whatever it may be in your business. But if you keep moving forward, you know, you're failing forward, and that's one thing that's always like I've always kept in mind. But he actually compared it to like he was climbing a mountain, and he was leading a team as he was climbing this mountain, and he saw a dead person as he was climbing it that had died at the peak or whatever, and but he kept going. He was scared, the fact of like, where am I leading these people, what am I doing? But he kept moving forward. Like it didn't let him, like it he didn't hold back basically. So it's failing with whether you have, regardless of the fear that you have, if it's something you really want, you're going to keep going and fighting for it. And I think that just something that really stuck with me, because it hasn't been easy in my business at all, and it's been very hard, and sometimes I do feel like giving up, and it's just making sure you're always keeping that vision in front of you. And you know, and one of the things they said there, it's like you're hearing the same things you've heard at other events, but it's, you know, when you hear it from other people, sometimes it resonates better, or you know, you have to hear it 10 times before it finally hits you, or whatever it may be. But that was one of the biggest things that I think helped me in that sense, is just, you know, you're taking an extra breath. That next step may be the hardest step, but you know, you're moving forward, so it's going to get you somewhere eventually.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Oh,
Can
Christy, right?
I'm curious. I don't know if my sister's able to get on. I'm curious, since it was her very first event ever, to see. I know she's having trouble with her internet connection, but I'm curious to see what she has to say about one of her takeaways.
Hi guys, I don't know many of you guys yet. My name's Nereida. I met a couple of you guys at the event, so it was, I don't know, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, because my internet's cutting in and out. It was actually a pretty eye-opening experience. It was definitely took me out of my comfort zone. I've been using the product now for a little while, but never really saw like the business side of things. I'm trying to get my own career just starting and running. So this was, at first, it seemed like it would be a little overwhelming and too much for me. But going in and actually doing the university in action really opened my eyes and got me to see that it's not just about this weight loss program or any of that. There's a lot more to it. And it was nice to also get to interact with different people who have either similar stories or really show you the difference of what the business aspect can do, and kind of like how Shannon was saying also, really learning how to connect with people. It's more of a lifestyle and not just this product of losing weight and whatnot. So yeah, I think, again, it took me out of my comfort zone. And I was really nervous, but overall it went great. I definitely recommend everybody should attend one. And personal growth, just in general, with so many other things too, it made a huge difference. So I'm excited to go to the next one and get to meet the rest of you guys as well.
yay! Thank you for sharing. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you, and I'm so happy that your first ever event was like one of the best, one of my favorites for sure. And you can take that and apply it, every single one of you. you can take it and apply it to your daily life, to your daily career.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
because I'm sure they got so deep into personal growth and into finding your why and the color that you are and why you are the way you are, right? So that's perfect.
Mhm.
That's perfect. Nerd, did you find out what color you are? Do you know the color code test?
Yeah, I'm red.
I love that.
Red with some blue.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing. All right, I'm gonna
Thank-
mute myself if anybody else wants to talk.
So, one thing that, so hold on, because I had a couple of thoughts. But one thing that I felt going to this is that I think when I first, because I heard David Wood and David MacArthur, my very first celebration when I had been in it, I had signed up a week before and had my shake that day, my first shake that day. I mean, that was just incredible. It was just amazing. And so ever since then, I've wanted to attend the UIA. And just the timing hasn't worked out. But I had already heard them, so I knew how incredible they were. And now that I've, been through what I've been through, and many of you might not know, but I basically kind of withdrew for about a year. So I feel like after what I've gone through and now going to UIA, I feel like everyone who even has a slight interest in the business should go to UIA immedially. Like that should be one of the very first things that they do, because that's really going to set you up for success if that's what you want. Because he just goes through so much, and one of the what I love is a lot of the mantras / quotes that he says throughout the training. So I do at the end want to give you guys some of those if you want to write them down, just because I think it's good to just say them over and over. But one of the things he was saying is that your success equals your personal growth. So the more you grow personally, the more successful you're going to be. And so if you're stagnant, your business is probably going to be stagnant. So that's just one of the things I just wanted to really put out there for, anybody that hasn't went, anybody that's, especially if you're newer or, as you're signing people up and they have a little bit of interest, that's the one I would push really hard. That's the one I'm going to push really hard. So I don't know if you want to jump in, Christy.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you guys. I really want to echo what Sharon said. I wish that I would have gone to this last year. This is definitely one of those events. And speaking to the other leaders, how much they love this event and that they go to this event. People have gone to this event like 8 times. And I think because each time, and this may have been already said, and Sharon, you may have touched on it, each time you show up to an event, you are a different person, and you're going to pick up on different things, depending if, what's going on in your life, what's going on in your business. And so each time you're going to take away something else, because I'll be honest, I thought this year, like, oh, I already went to a celebration last year. It's probably going to be the same thing. I don't need to go. But that was dumb. So don't think that, because it's right. I'm in a different place this year than I was last year at Celebration. And, David Wood, he really goes into being really honest about what it takes to build this business. And I love that he showcased all the leaders' different numbers so that you could see, like, there's a couple of leaders that are kind of an anomaly that just shot straight up, For others, it was a lot of peaks and valleys, a lot of plateaus, a lot of going back, going down, going up. And that really spoke to me and giving myself grace and compassion for how my business is building, but also, made me reflect upon, how am I really building this business? am I really putting in the time it needs to grow the way I really want it to? And because after all, initially there are those, initial people who are watching you, who want to jump in, who are curious, and it's exciting to get those referral bonuses and those initial enrollments and whatever. And at some point, that kind of fizzles, and then you're left with, okay, I need to really build this business and putting into action, talking to people, how you show up on social media, the consistency of our income producing activities, which I will recap on. So income producing activities are connecting, follow up, 3-way calls, presenting, which could be in-home simp and samples, Zoom calls, virtual launch parties, one-on-one conversations, all those count as presenting, and then of course enrolling. So this event really helps plant the seed of, if you really want to use this vehicle of Isagenix and the profession of network marketing to reach your dreams, then you have to go into it as you are switching careers. You're now switching into a different profession. So treat it that way. And so along those lines, in growing this business, is all of the amazing no's you're going to hear, right? And each leader talked about the thousands of no's that they have heard along their journey. So something that he gave us, and some of you may have heard it before, is this equation, which I wrote down here, which now I realize might be backwards, but it's E plus S equals P. So this is the first part. So E is the event. So the event is calling somebody that maybe is close to you, that you love, that you think could really benefit from this business, who would rock it, and them telling you that you're crazy and please don't ever call them again or something, right? Them telling you a no. So that's the event. The S is the story. So typically, and even, the leader spoke, rejection sucks. And sometimes, a lot of times, there is a story attached to the event. A story of, I suck, I'll never get this, I'm dumb, this is supposed to be simple, all of those like negative things that, and thoughts and emotions that we naturally want to attach to an event, because that's what we've been doing all along to any event, right? Emotions and thoughts get attached to event. And P is the problem. So then it equals the problem of, oh, I can't do this. I shouldn't do this. I won't be good at this. And it creates a whole whirlwind of other sets of thoughts and emotions that causes you to either pull back, to stop, to take a break, to not be consistent on social media, not to follow up. You start doubting, and insecurities really really grow during that time. So what he shared with us is this new equation that I'm so glad he shared with us, which is E plus NS. So no story. You still have the event of the no. That could be heartbreaking or sad at the moment, or just like, oh, wow, like kind of catch you off guard. But no story. Just no emotional attachment, which I've heard before, but it wasn't until this event that for whatever reason it resonated, maybe because it was normalized, in hearing again and seeing it with my own eyes and being in the room of hearing these leaders, these millionaires talk about the thousands of no's that they've had, but they continued to move forward. They didn't let that negativity of whatever story they've attached to a no before, like, be a shackle to their ankles and hold them down or hold them back from moving forward. So then, of course, if there's no story, then there is no problem, MP. And that sounds so simple, but oh my gosh, for me, it was such a huge takeaway, because it's like, gosh, like, okay, like, no, like, I'm going to hear no's. I should expect that. I can't be ridiculous and think that everybody's going to say yes. And I've had a lot of no's already, but it's like, okay, you know, these leaders between, I'd say the average of like 2,000 to 3,500 no's these leaders had, which is like, oh my gosh, I've maybe had 100 no's, if that. So I am like in an amoeba of lifespan in this business. And like what Sharon said of, you know, not judging it by how much time you've been in it, but how many conversations that you've had with this business. So one of the things that we did at the end, which for me was really powerful, was then if we are going to reframe or think differently about how we deal with the no, then we need to actually do something different when we get that no. So what we did was this great activity of literally hearing a no from a stranger, but in your mind's eye, making it be that person that you feel, you know, that you really wish that you could share this business with, that you really want them to see the vision and all that. And you hear that no, but instead of, you know, going fetal position on the floor, you know, wilting down into a little ball, is hearing this energetic, electrifying music and dancing and celebrating and just changing your state. Tony Robbins talked about that last year in Celebration, a lot about state, but getting yourself somewhere else emotionally and mentally so that you can work it out, literally dance it off, and then move on. Then move on to the next phone call. And David Wood talked a lot about that, you know, when he was, before he found Isogenics, and he was at other network marketing companies, and he was in sales, and that he would be on the phone or on the phone or in between presentations, that he would hear a no, that he would pull to the side of the road and crank up music and literally dance on the side of the road, which that would be a sight to see, right? But like he would do that so that he could not let either any type of story stick to him, but just let it pass through him and like get off of him so that he can continue to move forward.
And
so those are some of my takeaways. I don't know if either Sharon or Ariana, you want to add to that, or if there's any questions about what I just shared.
I want to add, and it's a really quick quote that I'm sure we've all heard before already as well at some of the other events. But one of the quotes that I actually read in kind of the notebook that they gave us from Jimmy Smith was, "The yes built my business, the no's built my character." So obviously in life, we never want to hear no's. And it's just going back to what Christy said. It's kind of building that, like your strength, I guess, the strength to being able to hear those no's. And it's hard and embarrassing at times. You know, I know one of my people in my downline had called me and told me he was crying because he was so embarrassed. I know that she got, but she only came back stronger, and it's just part of it. And we're always going to hear no's in life. So it's just going back to kind of the basics and remembering that the yeses, you know, are the ones that are going to build your business, but the no's are going to build your character and make you stronger overall. And going to keep you going. So just kind of wrapping it or adding to what Christy had to say.
Yeah, there's a lot, like I said, a lot of those quotes and things that he was saying. One of the things that I know, I think somebody was just saying, like, you know, we've heard a lot of this stuff before. So actually two things. We do hear the same things over and over, right? And they keep telling us, this is a simple business. It's not easy, but it's simple. And we keep going, we keep complicating it. So one thing is, you know, just keep it simple. Another is we keep hearing the same thing over and over from all these successful people. So we need to listen to them. Like we hear this and we say we want our business to grow, and then we don't do what they tell us to do, you know. And there was one very successul Isogenics leader who was saying that, you know, that's what she was doing. And finally, but actually our host was saying she was in it for quite a few years. She was manager for the longest time. And she was just like, oh, they just keep saying the same thing over and over. And she's like, well, maybe I should actually listen and do what they're telling us. So yeah, that's one of the things that we tend to do is, you know, we hear it, and then another thing is that we get pumped up about it, and then we leave the event, and then we don't follow through. And I'm completely guilty of that. I'm gonna get so fired up. I'm like, I'm definitely gonna do this, and then I walk out, and then my life happens, you know, instead of me controlling my life and what I'm, you know, making those things happen. As we know, Sonia tells us, you know, we hear it all the time, you got to get into action. But one of the things that just popped in my head when we were talking about like the, you know, just being successful in the income is, I know one of the quotes probably we've all heard, and I think Christy might have, I know somebody posted the saying that says, you know, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around, you know, the average of the 5 people you hang around. And so I've heard that a lot of times, but what he added that I had never heard before was, not only are you the average of them, like in your, how you do things, you know, your character and all that, but that you tend to be within 10 to 15% of what their income is. So that's huge, you know. So if we want to be, you know, more successful financially, we need to be hanging with those that are in that range that we're thinking, you know. Hopefully we don't have a ceiling, but, you know, I think a lot of us, you know, that's just, you know, again, that's just how we've been kind of molded to have that ceiling. So that was huge for me, is that we are 10 to 15% of their income. So stop hanging around poor people. No. No, but you know, you get it. So, yeah, around people that, you know, you just start doing the same types of things. You have things in common, and so that was another one that was big for me.
You know, I wanted to share really quick. So we had a panel at the end of the third day, and they were talking a little bit about the house that they built this business. So one of the girls, I think it was Katie Noah, was saying about how, well, you know, connecting is one of our income producing activities, but connecting can be really difficult for people. And, you know, I've had difficulties at times too, but she really, you know, talk about making it simple, but just finding everyday activities that you're already doing, but making it more intentional to connect with one person. So connecting does not mean that you were handing an Isogenics business card and walking away. It doesn't mean that Isogenics necessarily has to come up, because, right, we're in the business of creating connections, creating relationships, because maybe it's not them who will be interested and want to be in the business. Maybe it's someone they know, and they might be your next rock star in your business. But in starting to really think of yourself as a professional network marketer, that you are networking, that you're connecting, you're creating relationships in the different environments that you're in. And just starting like with one person. So if it's at your gym class, if it's at the nail salon, if wherever it is that you go throughout your day, and maybe it's that if you work from home, or if you're kind of like stuck in a certain rut, to veer a different course, to shake things up. Because if, you know, something that they, you know, said throughout the weekend is, if what you're doing now is not producing the results, because results don't lie. If you're not getting the results now with what you're doing, then you need to do something different. Your results will not change if you continue to do the same thing. So then she also talked about, you know, not having a story, not having an agenda before the connection, right? Just going in with the desire of wanting to meet the person, excited to meet someone new, to find out their story. Because, you know, if again, if anything, they might lead you to the next person in your business that could be the rock star. Lindsay Winnia said that she didn't have a strong upline. She had to, once she realized that this business can lead to the freedom, the peace of mind that she wanted, she started training herself. She took the initiative to follow other leaders, look at what they're doing, not be stubborn and try to reinvent the wheel. But if they're obviously getting major success, following in their shoes and putting it to work in her own organization. She talked about, the follow-up with new people. What she does is, once she gets them enrolled, she already sets up the standard that she follows up with them straight for 7 days, not a phone call, via text. And that she says that because she tells them, I'm going to follow up with you the first 7 days because you'll probably screw it up if I don't. She's just super honest with them, which I thought was fantastic because it is true, right? Because this touches on a lot of people's emotional relationships with food and all kinds of stuff, right? But if they have someone, a strong support system there every day, checking in, finding out. Her thing was that with one of the people she followed up with, they ended up telling her that she was hungry. So she was able to kind of troubleshoot with them. Okay, well, what are you doing? How much water are you drinking? Here are some snacks, or that normalizing that, yeah, you're going to be a little hungry and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. But helping to be a strong stand for the person, help them continue. And then she'll follow up. I forget if it was her or Katie Noah said that she'll do like twice a week, every week after that for like the first 30 days. Dave MacArthur gave us an exercise called the Stopwatch Challenge, because part of this is disciplining your mind. And so what the Stopwatch Challenge is that he, on a stopwatch, so on our phones, right, starts focusing on his breathing and becomes very present with that, but then, turns the stopwatch off once his mind starts to deviate to other things. So once he loses focus from his breath or from whatever he's concentrating on, he would stop the watch. And, the first time he did it, it was, I think, like 6 or 7 seconds. And he was able to get up to 30 minutes. But imagine, how much strength that is to control your thoughts and your mind. And this business, it requires a lot of that strength to control our thoughts and emotions, right? So we're not creating stories around different events that are going to happen to us, whether it's in this business or outside of it, but that would impact our business. The other thing that he said was he recommended the book that Jimmy recommended to him, which was called the 45-second presentation that will change your life. He said that was really an amazing book. He also said that, part of this business, even though, we don't have to know all the ins and outs about nutrition and everything, but he said that it is good, since we are helping people with a healthier lifestyle, that it would be a good thing to educate ourselves on what's going on with the world today with food and all that. So he recommended these 3. I forget if they're books or like Netflix, but one of them is called King Corn. The other one is Food Matters. And the last one is Food Inc.
So
Are they Netflix? Are they
They're Netflix documentaries.
Documentaries. Okay, yeah. Because then that just puts into perspective what is actually going on with our food today. Because, right, you're going to have people that are going to ask you, and in order to come across as a professional in this field, I think it's coming from the mouth of a millionaire. Like, you should be able to kind of have a leg to stand on when you're talking to people, especially, if we are wanting to attract people who are business minded, who are entrepreneurs, who maybe are either in chiropractic or nutrition or dietitians or whatever. They're going to want to know some of that information. So feel yourself with those resources. In follow-ups, he talked about, a follow-up could be that you are educating and inspiring the person. So whether it's a person who might be already on our system, if it's pointing them to the tool of isogenicshealth.net, or inspiring them to stay the course. Follow-ups also involve how you can be a problem solver for the person. Asking them like, what results are you getting right now? Like really celebrating the wins that they're having, because our mind, especially us, right? We have to remember, I know I do. I have to remember that not everybody has had the same amount of personal growth, if probably not even a quarter of it that I've had. So a lot of people aren't living, or have a difficult time living in a positive state of mind, and it's easy to focus on the negative, right? We can't escape that. Social media, the news, everything is very negative focused. So really pushing yourself to help be the positive light in a person. So accentuating their results. Whether it's not the pounds yet, or maybe it is 1 pound, maybe it's the energy, the sleep, not as stressed out or grumpy, any little thing, really celebrating that for them, asking them what they're liking the most about it. And I think that was it for that. Katie Noah also said that she creates a Facebook Messenger with people who are starting at the same time. If you have one or more people starting at the same time, so that, and really introducing them to each other on the Facebook Messenger group, so that if one has questions, like the other one can answer it. So then it actually almost starts planting the seed on how they can help start talking to people too, but it also minimizes the time that we are answering a lot of questions for either one of them. And she does Zoom calls for the open box calls, and tells them, and we've heard this before, I think Sonia has said it before, to not open the box until she speaks with them or goes through them all. And I would do this with people, of have them write on the lid of the canisters with a Sharpie she has them do 3 piles. 1 pile for a shake day, 1 pile for a cleanse day, and 1 pile for the products that you'll use on both days, so they can get a better visual of what they're using when. And I think, and they were asked about how do you attract business builders, right? And they said, one of the things that they would ask people is, I think maybe Lindsay Winia said this, it's going back to being a problem solver, that it's not so much that, we're trying to convince people or trying to, trying to share with them certain information that we think like, oh, if we just said this would help them catch the vision. But like asking them questions to find out what they want, what they're looking for, really to find out what are their pain points. One question that she said that she asked people is, how much would you like to make with Isogenics? Which, that is such a great question, because we're then able to map it out for them, how many cycles they need, or if they're first starting out, how many referral bonuses they need. But that is a really great question to ask people. This other girl on the panel, Carla, she said it was all about posture and belief. That a friend that she had that actually joined the business with her and is an executive for her now, she, the way that Carla would come across in her posts was from such a confident stance of what she knew Isogenics and this business of network marketing could do for her and would do and has been doing for her, that this friend told her when she invited her to the sip and sample, her friend actually got lost on the way to the sip and sample because the friend thought that there was going to be a whole bunch of cars outside the house. And she kept driving around looking for the house that was like packed with cars. But lo and behold, there were no cars. And it was just her and Carla. And she's like, gosh, Carla, I would have swore that you would have had this place packed. But I think it may have been a year. I'm not sure the exact time. But those women, locked arms and worked together. And they did end up packing the house together. But it all came from that posture and belief in this business and in the products and mainly the vehicle of Isogenics. And I think I'll take a break. What else? Because I think we're at time. I'm not sure what else we want to discuss or if there's any questions on that.
We're not going to run out of time if anybody still wants to do something because they gifted me unlimited time for my first large meeting.
Nice. Shoot, when you were talking, I had a couple things I was going to jump in and now I totally forgot. Darn it. Oh, I know. When you were talking about learning a little bit about the business, not just the business, learning about the products and things like that. So it is, of course, always good to know, some things, but one of the exercises he had us do, I'm not going to tell you the exercise because I want you guys to all go and eventually do it yourself. But basically the outcome was that you don't need to know anything about, you don't have to say what's in ionics and, give them the whole scientific version. There are scientists for that. So we have to get comfortable with saying, I don't know, or I'm not sure, or, let me find out. I'll find out for you. But what you can say is, I don't know exactly what's in it. Something to the fact that, I don't know exactly what's in it, but I just know what it's done for me. I know that it makes me feel amazing. I know that it's made me, shed pounds. I know that it's, you could say those things that you've personally experienced. You don't have to feel pressure to know the exact ingredients and the exact, whatever the scientific research has shown. And then they were saying, don't be the tool, use the tools. So we have so many tools, so we don't have to put that pressure on ourselves that we have to be the tool. We have so many tools, and we could say, I don't know, but I have a great video that can explain it better than me, or however you want to word it, and use our tools. I mean, it is amazing that they provide all of this to us, for free. It's just out there. So definitely talking about those tools and kind of going back to the beginning. Why should somebody use these products, or, why change your way of eating? So the one thing that they were saying is that we are in the worst health condition ever. And our children are the first generation that will not outlive their parents because they are so unhealthy. So that's a huge reason, you want your child to grow up and live a long life and not bury your own child. But that's what's happening right now. So that's pretty serious, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to throw those two things. You jogged my memory when you were talking about that. I got a message from Keren. I don't think she's going to be able to join us. Her plane was delayed over and over. So she probably won't make it. I don't know if Ariana, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah. So one last thing that really resonated with me as well is that no one really, and okay, so that might be the wrong word to say, but no one cares about your story. They only care about their own.
Yes.
So making sure that, and I know a lot of us, or I'll speak for myself actually, I tend to word vomit sometimes. And so instead of word vomiting, whether it's your story, whether it's about the product, ask a question. When you catch yourself kind of just saying way too much than you need to, turn it around and ask them a question. Because obviously, one, it's going to stop you from talking so much. And two, it'll get them kind of going and maybe even going into their own story. So the most important thing when you're talking to a prospect is really obviously listening, which we've heard before, and asking a ton of questions, but making sure that you're hearing their story, and only saying briefly, you know, how it helped you, because in reality, everybody just likes talking about themselves. So it's really kind of keeping that in mind. No one really cares about your story. You're already in it. You're already running with it, you know, so they don't really care about your story. They only care about their own and the results that's going to bring for them.
Yeah, that's so, so important, because we, you know, we have our, you know, whether you have a strong why, a not strong why, whatever, we have our reasoning. And one thing I found out is, you know, to me personally, like it just trips me out that, you know, Anne, you know, how Anne and I met and how long we've known each other and how, you know, she's the one who started me. So I tend to tell that part of the story, and basically I need to stop because, you know, they say, you know, and everybody did that over and over. He kept trying to, he did this for so long, trying to get people to just say, and I was introduced to isogenics by my friend Lindsay. I was introduced to isogenics by my friend, da, da. And that's all you say. But we always say, and I, you know, it was my so-and-so and they da, da, and we tell the little story about that person and us and our relationship. And you know, and it, we're not saying it to be cold that they don't care, because, you know, of course people care, but at that moment, you know, we're trying to help people, you know, relieve people from physical and financial pain. And if we're just sitting there talking about ourselves, you know, that's not really going to engage them, and it's not going to grab them. They need to tell their story. So we want to give them the basics, you know, how long we've been doing it, what were our pain points, what has it done for us, you know, who introduced us, and that's it. It's got to be literally 30 seconds or less, and so succinct. So as much as we're, you know, we want to keep going, we have to stop ourselves. And just like Ariana said, like that's one way for those of us that it's hard to do that, try to remember to ask a question and to make us stop ourselves. So yeah, that was super important. I think it's, and just watching him do that with so many people, even after repeating it over and over and saying, my friend so-and-so, and he would stop and he would say, okay, just say my friend. And over, people kept saying, well, it was my such and such, and they kept giving the little story about that. So it's really hard for some of us. So one quote I definitely want to get in before we end is that I just absolutely love, that he said, is for us to say to ourselves, you know, when I take 100% responsibility for everything that's in my life and for everything that's not in my life, there's no one else to blame. I found that so, so powerful. And so I got to try to remember that. So it's our own actions.
Thank you so much, Sharon and Ariana and Christy and Nerida. And sorry we didn't hear from Karen, but you know, I'm so excited to see what you guys are gonna do, because whenever people come back from this event, they're like on fire and they do such amazing things. And looking at the people on the call, most of the people on this call have been to UIA, which is awesome. And the same thing is always said when they come back, including myself, that it's the best event. And it's just so hard to believe that it takes us so long to get there, so many of us, you know, and it's so true that, you know, when you go there, you're always in a different place. So I can't wait. I'm excited to go again next year, because you know, you're always going to be at a different place. You guys all gave us so much good information, so many good takeaways and stuff like that. And it is so true that this business is so simple, but it is not easy. And I think that everyone on this call, everyone on our team and in Isogenics in general, but for sure on our team, I know can attest that for none of us, including myself or Sonia, that this has not been easy. Our business is, you know, our business in general, it's not easy. It does take work, but it is just consistency, and it is simple, just doing the same things over and over again, you know. But thank you so much, ladies. And I'm so happy that you guys got to go, and, you know, so excited for the next people who are going to get to go too. And I can't wait to see what you guys are going to do.
Before everybody hangs up, this is like a little side note, but I have a friend who's on somebody else's team, the Vavras, I think, and she had posted today that there was a picture, there's going to be a new seasonal bar. So of course I had to like send her a message and be like, we're a little in the dark over here, tell me what's going on. So she said cranberry almond, it's covered in white chocolate, I can't say for sure that it's true, but thought I'd throw it out there for you.
Yikes.
And if you guys just want to put this in your calendar, I talked to Sonia and Michelle. They're working on, if we can get people to the RBN. November 6th is the tentative date, but Michelle was saying maybe November 8th, if we can get like the 30 people, to do the opportunity meeting at the RBN. So keep those two dates in mind, either November 6th or November 8th. And if there's anyone central, Jessica and I are working on getting some people in the Mission Valley area to do like a healthy happy hour at like Gordon Biersch or something like that, probably November 1st after Halloween. So yeah, we'll put the flyer in Team Aerobiz. Anybody else? Parting words?
I just want to thank the girls. I went to UIA last year, and just listening to them like rekindled my fire, and I'm so excited just to hear them and the passion that they're talking about. And I totally think that we're always in the right place at the right time. Speaking for myself, when I heard Christy so passionately talk about the formula, the event equals, you attach a story and it equals a problem. I think sometimes, yes, we learn how to manage the no's that we hear from our potential prospects. But I think on a personal note, I'm speaking, it's harder for us, or it's harder for me to hear a no from a business builder that's already building a business. And then you want it more for them. It's like, oh, so that just came to rephrase me, like, don't create a story. It is not personal. It's them.
Yeah.
We can't want it more for them than they can want it, right?
So
But I also think that we are where we are at in our business based on the time, based on the commitment, and based on our belief. That's our results, right? So if you have someone that says, I only work X amount of times a week, that's probably what they're generating at their paycheck on Mondays. You know what I mean? If you have somebody that's, well, I don't work on the weekends, or I don't work on Sundays, it's like, well, then that's why that's reflecting. But again, we can't take responsibility for that if you want it,
Yeah, they said results don't lie.
Exactly.
Right? Results don't lie. So what your results are, says a lot. I saw Kitten. Hi, Kitten. She made it.
Yay! Hi, Kitten.
Hi, you guys.
Can
you guys hear me?
All about it, yes.
Can you guys hear me? I don't know if it sounds, is there a lot of noise, background noise?
It's fine.
Go ahead.
Okay, because I'm like, I'm still at the airport.
We could see.
Yeah, there's a major delay. So anyway, let me just move away from. So so sorry, I'm jumping in a little late here. Are you guys just still recapping?
we were just wrapping up. So let us hear
Maybe your takeaway.
Say that again.
Go ahead and share yours. Takeaway.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, so I wanted to share about, let me know if you guys if you can't hear me, because I hear the airplane right now, it's loud. What I wanted to share, what I really took, and I really, it gave me a lot of peace of mind, is the, basically realizing that this is a business and you have to treat it like a business. And like any other like profession, right? So I always had like a hard time with like discouragement, like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? How to come, the comparison of like, why am I not good as like somebody else? And the whole like just self-limiting, beliefs and all that, the self-doubt. But what he said was really interesting, was that he basically said that it takes about 10,000 hours to master like any, profession or any skill and stuff like that. I mean, 10,000 hours, you guys, that's a lot, right? So he was talking about, looking at different professions and how long it took us to, like, for example, my profession. I mean, I went to college for 5 years, and, I'm going on 17 years in my profession right now. And I remember when I first started after college, right? Like the first time I started my job as a probation officer, and I had one of the senior people like give me an advice, which I thought it was so discouraging, but it also kind of gave me that like ability to understand. He said, you know what? He's like, don't try to figure out things right away, because it's going to take you about 2 years to feel comfortable with what you're doing. And I was like, if that wasn't discouraging enough for me to be like, oh my God, like, I don't want to do this. But I remember it gave me like an understanding and acceptance of like, it's okay. You know, it's going to take me 2 years and it's going to be a hot mess and I'm not going to understand it. And it gave me I guess, a peace of mind to just know that, okay, I have to go through the process. So when he was talking about that, and I'm like, wait a minute. So yeah, this is like a professional, you know, profession, and it's just like anything else. You know, it's gonna require some time. I can't be beating myself up thinking like I need to figure this out right now, or you know, in this amount of time, because it's a profession and you have to acquire the skills. And yeah, it's gonna be uncomfortable, but that's just how it is. So it really made me feel good, because I mean, it's gonna be like what, a year for me. So I'm still like a baby at this and brand new. And so I don't have so much of a discouragement of thinking like I needed to know this like right now. And I have to treat it like a business, because in order to master something, if it, you know, if the statistics or the studies show that it takes 10,000 hours to master it, then it's okay. I have to give myself grace and just, you know, go through the process and go through the motions. But that was really important to me. You guys hear me?
Yeah, that was awesome. That was, yeah, that
Thank
was,
you so much, Karen. And no one said that, all the stuff that you just said. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
So I think it was so exciting, because I was like, I met somebody, of course, like at the airport now, and I don't feel that total awkwardness. Like it just took away that major expectation of like, you better know your shit, right? And you better be good at it. Like, it just took away that expectation, because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna like do what I can, and it's just gonna take me practice, because 10,000 hours, I'm like way far from 10,000 hours. So I don't have to feel so pressured and have so high expectations, and just do my best. So, you know, I talked to the person at the airport, and like literally just truly connecting, didn't even talk about the business or nutrition, nothing. I was just like, okay, this is basically like me working and trying to enhance my skills of that communication, and taking away that awkward feeling and the guilt feeling and all that. So, and I asked her what she does, and she asked me, and I'm like, oh, I said, yeah, I'm actually in the process of changing professions, like, because that's how I see it now. It's a business, and I'm changing careers. So just give yourself grace to you know that it's going to take a little bit of time, and it's okay.
very well said.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, I'm so sorry I missed the beginning of it, but this is being recorded? Yeah, okay, yeah, I see it's being recorded.
Thank
So
you
I'll get to it.
for jumping on. I'm glad we are able to get you on.
Yes, of course. It was so awesome. You guys truly, it's true what you guys said. I know when I hear, like, I would hear Christina and Angie talk about, like, oh my God, it's so amazing. I'm like, oh, really? Like, seriously? But it truly is. But it's truly life-changing. I mean, not just with the business itself, like personal growth, total personal growth, and like, you know, with it for myself and like everybody around me, for my family. Like, it was just amazing.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see all of your guys' business freaking boom. You watch it. I mean, I can see it, the fire in your eyes get in. I can hear it in Sharon's voice. and Ariana's and every single one of you. And it's amazing. Amazing. I'm so excited for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're
So,
passing that on to us, to me. What?
Can I say one last thing? Hello?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
because like I said, I just love the quotes that they kept throwing out there and just, different mantras. But one thing is that they said, which I'm sure we've all heard before, but again, it's good to hear it over and over, is who I am is who I attract. Who I am is who I attract. So if we want to attract, good business, great people in general, kind people, people that want to serve, people that want to do business, responsible people, whatever it is, you have to be that person in order to attract. So, again, that personal development is where it's at. Before, which they were talking about, that is equal to your success. So, just again, creating that change and creating those, that growth in yourself will show up as results in your business. That's it.
Thanks so much, Sharon. Thank you so much, everybody. Ladies, that's it? Yes? Thank you. Good night, you guys. Hope to see you
Good night. Thank you, guys.
all.